1:51 p.m. on Monday, July 27th, 2026. The Board of Selectmen has concluded its executive session, has reconvened in open session. We will now proceed with the remaining items on the posted agenda. Just a reminder, this meeting is being recorded by Area 58 for public viewing on YouTube. The recording is not an official record of the board. The approved minutes of the meeting will serve as the official record of the proceedings. To begin our meeting, please rise if you are able for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag,
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. To begin the meeting today, we've asked Police Chief Matt All to come and discuss with us his budget overage for fiscal '26, which we discussed at our last meeting. So, Chief, if you're ready to go, we'll turn it over to you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for your time. I'm not sure exactly where you want me to stand in proximity, but
I'm not the IT guy. I'll John, is he good where he is, or?
Well, the
Microphone's over here, so maybe
all
over.
right, sounds good. I'll switch spots
And the
then.
lighting's better over there, too.
Oh, this is my better side. All right, I appreciate your time. So obviously, I was requested here to talk about the budget from last year. It was a tough year financially, and I'm happy to go through every one of the line items. I've actually accounted for essentially everything as to where everything stood at the end of the year. A lot of hardship. We had we had some officers out, and just again, cost of services were just like astronomically high this year. So I can go through line item by line item if you want, or just at least my breakdown as to like how I've kind of accounted for about 118,000 of what was put out there in the last meeting for deficiency. But essentially, when I look at the budget every single year, and this is just kind of an overage, is there's a wants and there's a needs, and I'm still at almost 5 years into this position, still at the necessity, not the wants. And I just want the town to understand that, as I very intimately look at, what we can do to run a department with as lean as possible, but as efficient as possible. And this year was trying. We had collateral duties, we're over. There's training overtime that we're over. Court was absolutely through the roof this year, just based on our call volume. For anybody that doesn't know, I've spoken openly about this. We increased our traffic stops, almost 1,400 traffic stops additionally from fiscal year previously, which is absolutely incredible. So, when we submit a budget, there's a lot of unknowns. Clearly, we don't know if an officer is going to be out for duration. We did have an officer that was out in surgery for an exorbitant amount of time this year. Hospitalizations. We had an officer in a motor vehicle accident. Shift extensions relative to arrests. So I'm happy to go through every single number if you want, but that's just kind of like an overview. Again, when I submit my budget, I really try to make it as lean as possible, but we just can't account for just certain things that seem to pop out throughout the course of the year. So I'll defer to you, Nate, if you want me to specifically get into like some of the deltas.
Yeah, I don't think we need to go that much into the weeds. We appreciate the explanation. I think from our standpoint, we're looking at it, this seems like it happens every year. So I think our concern is, and I understand where you're coming from. You can't predict somebody going to get in a traffic accident and be out for however many weeks. I understand that. There seems to be, I think we need a middle ground. And I think where we're coming from as a board, or I can speak for myself personally, the surprise factor, I guess, is what bothers us. Where, all of a sudden, 2 weeks ago, we're asked to close out the fiscal year, and lo and behold, PD's 10% off. And I get it. There's no doubt legitimate reasons for that.
Sure.
I think we would have appreciated maybe some waypoint, some checkpoints along the way, if you can even provide that.
Sure. Yeah.
And maybe that's better cooperation between this board and you and other departments. Maybe it's better cooperation between the FinCom, or whatever. I think again, from my standpoint, that's where it really it just seems as though we go through this every year, and every year it seems as though it's always last minute, holy crap, we need $100,000
Sure.
or something, so.
Yeah. So, and fair enough, not to cut you off, like, I think you had alluded to this previously in one of your meetings. I actually love the check-in, like, you know, we articulated, I think, Bob, when he was interim, but you had talked about just doing like a regular check-in once a month. I'm
Yeah.
all for it. I don't want there to be surprises. I'm not gonna, you know, say that, you know, I like to keep my town admin, and I'm not gonna use this as an example or as an excuse, but I know we've been in flux about even our TA spot too. So there's been a lot of things where, you know, what level of communication do I have with potential interim versus what our full-time, you know, TA was, and how that's, you know, getting, you know, matriculated up to the board as well. So I don't know where some of that, you know, falls or whatever, but moving forward, like, I'm very happy to have a conversation once a week if I have to about financials. I'm not afraid of it, and that's hence the reason why I had this whole breakdown for you guys and prepared. I can still send it to you if you want.
Well, I know Bob said he has a meeting lined up with you, so,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I think we'll trust the two of you guys to, you know,
Yeah.
just provide him the detail, and then he can filter it to us as needed.
Yeah.
You know, you mentioned traffic stops are up, which are great. I think
Yeah.
everybody appreciates that. You know, police are doing a great job, you know, keeping our streets safe. Does that generate revenue that flows back to the town?
Well, it depends if it's chapter 90 involved, but essentially, it's not necessarily financial, you know, increase for the town, other than the fact that, like, you know, we are out there doing, and again, and this goes back to when Dana was on the department, is we're kind of back to where it's like, we're out there hitting the traffic, we're out there, because we have a lot of people. I always used to joke, if we had 27 officers on shift, I'd like to put one on every single street to help mitigate the traffic concerns. That is the number one thing that I get questions on. So it doesn't generate money, but it does, as far as like a tangible, it really showcases that we're out there doing it. I mean, as far as what the expectation of what the job is. We just got a call, and I think I forwarded you this email last week. We had a call, we had 19 arrests last month, which is unprecedented for the town of Plympton, 19 arrests. We've never seen that once in the history of Plympton, and that's how busy my guys are. Anybody that follows us on social media, the amount of narcotics, drugs that flow through these streets, it's incredible. And not that everyone wants to hear that, but it's the truth. These are gateway communities and streets that we go through. And we got guys that are out there hitting it. And so it's hard to manage, like, with the expectation of the town where they want traffic. We get requests almost every single week. So we can tam it down, and that's gonna help mitigate some of the court, but then conversely, what we're gonna get is, well, I didn't see you on Main Street this week, or we didn't see you on Mayflower, or whatever. So it's kind of balancing that as well, what the town's expectations are.
And I guess, I think my other question would be, if or when you are faced with some sort of a shortage, again, getting back to the traffic accident, obviously unplanned.
Sure, yep.
But an officer's off duty for a while.
Sure.
Are there other options that are considered rather than just opening it up to OT? You know,
Oh, yeah.
in terms of like reassigning
100%.
Personnel.
Yep.
So those things are considered part of the
100%.
response as well.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So we'll actually put it out, we'll actually even temporarily ask the union for, like, just some concessions for us to be able to move some things around. Sometimes we'll get letters from them just to say, yes, we agree for this duration that we will move this shift or whatever. We actually have, like, a great relationship with them to do that. So we try to mitigate as best as possible, but it's, you know, again, we had an officer out 5 weeks with, you know, a surgery.
Sure.
You know, this year, and again, that cost us about $13,000 of backfill overtime, and that's, you know, again, relative to our arrests this year for shift extensions and holdovers, all relative, that's $25,000.
And I just want to, you know, clarify that for the town, that's why, because I know from prior to you being in the role, there were times when the PD was operating with only one officer on duty. And so for safety reasons, the FinCom several years ago voted to fund an additional officer. So I know that that's part of this too. So you're keeping the staffing levels at minimum of 2.
Absolutely, yeah. And I appreciate you saying that, because again, you know, I took over this position with 7 full-time officers. And when I was going through the police academy, the number one thing my drill instructors would say to us or anybody that was there to listen is the hardest position that anybody had in the Commonwealth was a Plympton police officer, because you had to catch, cook, and clean your own thing, and you were doing it all by yourself. And I'm sorry, it's just a litigious issue in the state that we're living in right now, and the amount of stuff that we have going on. I would never want to operate a department with a single officer shift and feel comfortable going home and think that that's okay. It's not. So I do appreciate you bringing that up, because that was one of the biggest things that I hit upon almost 5 years ago, was to make sure that I know my officers are getting home at night and they have us back up there on each one of these traffic stops. And to that point, we are still kind of catching up to that a little bit, right? So we're still a little bit of that bell curve of like, all right, we know we have to have 2 people on and whatever. And again, not an excuse, but everything here up to $118,000 is articulated as essentially stuff that I can't really account for. They just, our utilities were up, our cruisers were up, our gas fees were up. I mean, you name it. I mean, there are pockets of 10,000 all throughout this budget that, you know, we got told essentially, you know, this is, you know, what we can do, and I keep pulling money out from every which way to try to make this work, but this is all the best that we can do, and the optics of this is gonna be fine and whatever. The truth of the matter is we already know most of the time we're going into a budget July 1st, and this isn't a knock to finance. I know everybody does the best job they can. This isn't a knock to the board, but we already know that we're basically walking in upside down. And how do I make up that? It's what keeps me up every single night. Everybody next door can tell you, as I talk openly about this to my union, what can we do to mitigate overtime? What can we do to mitigate X, Y, and Z? But I can't account for $25,000 of arrests, shift extensions, court times over $7,000 over and above, just relative to our arrests. I mean, there's just a lot of pockets of things that they pop up throughout 365 days.
So in that same vein, are you looking towards this being an annual overage?
The only thing I
You've
can...
got 2 years it's like this, so I mean, is this
Oh,
gonna be
absolutely.
something to anticipate?
No, I appreciate you saying it. So we actually this year, and we went with the finance department about it, we actually have a pocket of our mandatory training now. We actually segregated that out, so that way it actually showcases, this is what we have for mandatory trainings now. It's not hidden, it's whatever. We wanted to be up front to say, you know, we were afforded 16,000 and change for whatever it was for trainings. My firearms training alone is about $13,000 a year. So that means that leaves about $3,000 on the table for 365 other days, or 363 other days throughout the course of the year. So we try to be over the top open about what we are going to need for trainings, whether it be, again, ACO, SRO, first aid CPR, firearms quals. I just got told we have another block of 8 hours that wasn't even accounted for this year by MPTC, that we now have 3 annual trainings. I think, Dana, when you were there, we went to 2. Now we're up to 3. That's an additional 8 hours per officer. That wasn't even accounted for budget-wise, fiscal 27, that we just got told. You know, these are things that I try to make up. We have the cruises go out, we take money from cruiser fees to help, you know, kind of offset things as best as possible. Admin fees, we appreciate that, because that does help alleviate things, but we're trying to be real about what the numbers are, and very upfront about what the numbers are. So, to Dana's question, yeah, I mean, it's been tough for almost 2 years or so to put a budget together, knowing that when I come in, even though that's what the board approved and that's what everybody approved, I know it looks good on paper. I want to be real about what it really should be. And especially coming into a year that's like, let's call it what it is, it's going to be very, very, very tough. We're already upside down. We know there's an override. Hence the reason I'm having this conversation with my union now. They're in a contract negotiation this year. And again, just putting this all out for the public to actually know, like, I'm already trying to have these conversations to
That's
have.
why we hired a new shark.
Yeah, I like it, yeah. But again, having this conversation right now with my union to try to be so far ahead of it, so I at least have a foothold of like, or some sort of idea of what they're gonna be looking at for contracts. Again, this is what keeps me up at night.
So, thank you for mentioning the trainings, because I know a lot of it is mandated now with post and all of that.
Yep.
But you mentioned earlier, I think, and maybe I misheard you, but you said that your training overtime was higher than anticipated.
Yep.
How does that work? Is training always billed as overtime, or is some of it accomplished during the regular shift?
Yeah.
If somebody needs to do training, but it would only be overtime, is that automatically approved? Do you as a manager say, you know what, we can't afford to do that this month, you gotta wait until next month if you have that option?
Right, great question. So, you know, as far as the overtime, like, we've actually gone to online training for our annual in-service, right? So annual in-service is actually in person, but there's still the option to do it on the computer, or whatever. So what I actually afford my officers is to take time during the course of their duties, where historically they would actually go off-site for 40 hours a week, 40-hour stint, and that's every single officer had to do it. I've now taken that, asked them if they would, you know, concede to do this internally, and just let them do it on shift. That way it's not costing overtime. But there are, again, training things that do pop up, whether it be ACO, SRO, that are mandatory. We are going through accreditation, as you are aware. We got certified last year. So we have to have people that have, that are certified domestic violence, certified in all these things, and that's additional training that comes out every year. And these are things that post MPTC and accreditation continue to update. That way we have to stay relevant. We have to have officers delegated to these specific roles, and again, that just costs money. Every single time they make a change, we have to adapt, and that costs money for that training.
Can you require people to take it online if online's available? Or do you have to make, you said you
I
offer
do.
it?
I actually check it off and attest to that to MPTC. So that,
Okay.
and again, that's, again, showcases the relationship with the union. They actually are agreeing upon it. Doesn't mean that's always gonna be there indefinitely, but at least for right now, they understand basically the financial constraints that the town's in, and I do appreciate that for that, because they could easily say, no, we wanna go back to in-person, go off-site for a week, and that's a huge additional cost that nothing's been accounted for.
Okay. Sorry, I hate to take up too much of this time.
Oh,
but,
that's just what I'm here for.
Your spreadsheet that you gave us here, thank you for that. PR week, is that just the calendar week, or is this your PR week 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5? Is that just, does that correspond to calendar?
Yeah,
Okay, it just seems unusual that it's always the second week of the month that seems to be heavy.
yeah, I don't know. I don't, yeah.
Do you have any other questions? Chief?
Yeah. Again, I'm happy to go through every number. I don't want to take everybody's time, but, understand that, like, and then this is just for everyone's perspective that are going to be watching this, and for the boards as well, is I don't like to come in here, have these conversations, but I will be transparent about every single dollar spent. And again, accounting for about $118,014 of what we were afforded, what the reality really truly is. Again, I'm gonna say this honestly, because I'm already prepared for next year. I had 2 officers call me over the weekend, asking me, they saw a news article, they already hear the rumblings, I'm already having constructive conversations with my union. Is my job in jeopardy? My job is to keep everybody fed as best as possible, but also try to balance that, financially with town. I understand the constraints. We're the highest tax rate community in Southeastern. I would never egregiously spend. I'm still not on that wants, I'm still at that necessity level, and I'll continue to operate that way. Again, I understand where everybody's at financially in town. I would not want to put a burden on somebody unnecessarily, so I totally get that.
Okay. Thank you, Chief, for your time, I
Yeah,
appreciate it. And again, I think I'll trust you and Bob to work out the minute details, and then maybe we can have you back in a month or so to
Sure.
talk about it some more.
Yeah, very good.
Thanks
I
for the
appreciate
time,
it.
Chief.
All right, thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, second item on today's agenda is a request from the town clerk, several requests actually regarding the upcoming elections. So we have a series of motions that we need to vote on. The first one is the appointment of election officials per Mass General Law, Chapter 54, Section 11. The list was published as part of the agenda, so I will make a motion to move that Deborah Anderson, Joan Beckwith, Marilyn Brown, Martha Burns, Lisa Hart, Bridget Martins, Tamara Parsons, Colleen Thompson, Jean Trotta-Cohen, Susan Vetterline, Donna Hanna, Emma Wick, Madeline Pompey, Bella Pompey, and Nancy Magnuson be appointed as election officials for the term of July 27, 2026 through April 14, 2027. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any requests? Any whatever, comment?
Conversation.
Yeah.
No, for conversation.
It's good,
Go to a
'cause
vote.
clearly I can't converse. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
What was, did you read?
That was the list of item 2A on the agenda. The election officials appointments,
And I need you to sign that.
okay. The next item is regarding the state primary election warrant, which the election information is, the state primary is going to be Tuesday, September 1st from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. So I move that the town vote to approve the date and time for the state primary election on September 1st, 2026, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. in the Deborah Sampson Meeting Room, and further to sign the primary election warrant when it becomes available. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Similarly, in-person early voting will be for September 1st, state primary election, will begin on Saturday, August 22nd, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Will continue Monday through Thursday, August 24 through August 27, also from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., located here in the Deborah Sampson Meeting Room. I move that the town vote to approve the in-person early voting date and time, as previously mentioned, for the state primary election taking place here in the Deborah Sampson Meeting Room. Do I have a second?
Second.
You should read
Read it again?
the dates.
Okay.
Times. Under the motion.
All right. I'll amend my motion to include the dates of Saturday, August 22nd, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., and then Monday through Thursday, August 24th through August 27th, also from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., again, here in the Deborah Sampson Meeting Room.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You're gonna sign a lot.
And then the last one is for the November 3rd, 2026 state election, also located here in the Deborah Sampson Meeting Room. This is for in-person early voting to begin on Saturday, October 17th, and then continuing on Monday through Thursday, October 19th through the 22nd, and then again on Saturday, October 24th, continuing Monday through Thursday, October 26th through October 29th. So I'll move that the town vote to approve the in-person early voting date and time as mentioned for the November 3rd, 2026 state elections. Again, the times are Saturday, October 17th and Saturday, October 24th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then Monday through Thursday, October 19th through October 22nd. And again, Monday through Thursday, October 26th through October 29th, all from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., all taking place here in the Deborah Sampson Meeting Room.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. That's it for the elections, okay. Great. We had, the town received an open meeting law violation complaint regarding board and committee list that was voted on at the June 15th, 2026 meeting. The list of appointees was not published as part of the agenda in error. So even though we read through the list on that date and voted on them, we need to ratify the vote from that date of the boards and committees. The list was published as part of today's agenda, so if there is no discussion, I'll make a motion to approve the following, the appointments as listed on the sheet. We read the names into the record on June 15th for the terms and the committees as listed there. I further acknowledge the Board of Selectmen has receipt of and reviewed the open meeting law complaint filed by Patrick Higgins on July 9 concerning the meeting notice for the board's meeting of June 15th. Based on the board's review, further move that the board authorize town administrator in consultation with town council to prepare a written response consistent with findings and directions approved by the board and to submit the complaint and the board's response to the complainant and the Mass Attorney General's Division of Open Government within the time required by law.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
We, as have been discussed at the last couple of meetings, we finalized the list of liaisons. Thank you. Yeah, because this was not accurate. We finalized the list of liaisons for each of the boards and committees in town. Again, the intent is to provide a member of the board as a contact person for each of the boards and committees. The board member will not necessarily attend all the meetings. They're just there as a contact point, point of reference if there are any questions, or if that particular board or committee has something that they wish to have addressed by the board, they would reach out to their liaison. The list was finalized and was based upon feedback from all members of the board and the town administrator. So we will publish that list, and it will be made available on the town website. And then we move on to town administrator updates.
Okay, finally. So, first thing I want to mention is the Mass DOT. Thanks to Rob and the highway, received a grant of $189,750 for road repair work. That was he's very active in filing these grants, and he's been successful in getting a lot of them. It seems like the state has that money to give out for roads, so we got to keep hitting that till while we can. So thank you, Rob. We'll see what you do with that and what gets fixed and what doesn't.
That's great news.
We received 4 more settlement grants on the opioid, the class action lawsuits that are going on. The total in the grants was $6,285.49 or 19 cents. Can't read my writing. The police chief and I are looking at ways in which we can probably use that money to assist the people in need in the town, and also for educational purposes on the opioid crisis. I know, Nate, you were involved in getting some information out, and you know, it's going to takes a village to take care of this issue. You know, you think a small town, we don't have those issues. Every small town has those issues, no matter where you're from. So, and the police chief and the police department are well aware of the people in need and the issues that are going on. So we'll be looking at programs that have been successful throughout the Commonwealth and other communities, and hopefully bring some into the board to vote on, and then move some of this money, because ultimately it's just sitting there in an account, and it's very difficult, it's very succinct on what it can be used for. So it's not something that can, you know, you can use because we want to paint town hall or something. It's got to be used specifically for that purpose of opioid and other drug.
Just kind of an open question.
Mhm.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, no, please.
My question to be is also, could the fire department be receiving some of these funds too? Because they're gonna be responding to these calls for opioid overdoses and such.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whether they could get more enhanced equipment or Narcan or whatever is used more
Yeah.
recently with that type of thing. I'd be curious to see whether the FD could have some of those funds as well.
Yeah, it's not limited to what department in the town can use it. It's just limited on the programs themselves, so.
Right.
Yeah, so that's a good point to bring up.
Wasn't there a application process you were debating whether to implement, or based on what you uncovered from another town?
Yeah, so a town close to me, where I live, they had put a program together to take some of that money, and you could apply to the town through a small advisory group that would read all the applications and would fund for rehabilitation services or other things that relate to opioid and other drug dependency. It's a great program. It's wrapping up the first year shortly, so I'm going to meet with the town manager, and it's in the town of Rentham. Meet with them and see, you know, what the results were, if it was worth the time and effort, and or if they have better ideas on how to modify it. So I think, again, it's something I think we can bring something like that to the town of Plympton, and probably in other towns will look at it too.
Curious to hear their successes on it.
Yeah, thank you.
That'd be good.
A couple more things. The assessors are currently starting their fiscal '27 recertification program throughout the town. You may get somebody doing an assessment of your property. So just be aware that they'll be out there doing the recertification. And the last thing I want to mention is that we got a new payroll software system. It was very difficult to install and use a new system, regardless of who it is or where it is. Whenever you bring in a new system, there's all kinds of quirks and changes and all that. There was lots of hours put into getting it on board and getting it working, and this was the first week, the past week, where it was implemented and it went without problem at all. And I want to shout out to really Christine Kelly, the town treasurer. She headed this program and did a fantastic job. I don't know if any of you drove by here on Sunday and you see her car in the parking lot, because she's that dedicated to make sure that it gets done and gets in. So thank you, Chris Kelly, for the work.
So, thank you, Christine. Maybe we should invite her to a future meeting, just to have her.
To embarrass her?
Yeah.
This is not enough
No, just
of
to,
an
just,
embarrassment.
maybe she and Lisa can come in and just kind of talk about the new software and some of the
'cause we-
advantages that they.
Because it's two different
Favor.
softwares. The other is VADA software is very difficult.
Yeah.
And that's what they're both also working on.
I mean, more information's helpful,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Especially
Yep.
with this budget season coming up, I think, so if we can,
We'll invite her to the next BOS.
perfect, thank you.
Mhm.
Anything else?
That's it, no?
Do we have any warrants paid or anything?
Yes, we do. So warrants paid are $158,019.68. So $138,752 is just our insurance alone. Because our workers' comp, our regular liability, insurances, so. And usually at the end, I know it seems like a lot, but we usually have money left over. We budget a little higher for just in case of things. And then we had our regular Amazon, the treatment for the field by Ghost Scoopers. We had some we had some contracts for the Evron for our communication for the alarm system as well, Sarian. And then we did have an issue with our well pump has been replaced down in the basement. Folsom came in, got us a new pump. So that was a little chunk of money as well. And Chase Plumbing, so it seems
Good.
like the water pressure is much better. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. We have some minutes that were circulated. Did you have an opportunity to read those? May 13th, both open session and executive session minutes. If there's no discussion, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as posted. The executive session minutes will not be released due to the sensitive nature discussed. Open session minutes from May 13th will be posted on the website.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
if I can, one more update that I forgot to mention, is that last meeting, I talked about the installation process that's being done here in Town Hall.
Yes.
And they ripped out everything up there, and they've been putting in the insulation. It was intended to finish up on the weekend, on Saturday. Unfortunately, they got delayed, so it's gonna actually finish up on Friday of this week. They're gonna use an adhesive, so we wanna make sure that the town hall is completely closed to anybody, even the board members not come in. You don't wanna be breathing that stuff, so.
Thank you. And today was the deadline for the submissions for the.
It was the initial deadline, but addendum number 2 went out, which added another, I think, 3 days
Oh, okay.
to it, so.
I must have missed that.
So we're getting close, it's getting close, and
That's the public water supply.
it doesn't change
project.
the intended contractual date of August 15th, around there, so.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, did Dana second the minutes?
He did,
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
Yes, he did. Okay, I think that covers everything on our agenda. Do you have any comments you'd like to make for?
I think other than kudos to Rob Furlot for
Absolutely,
continuing to follow
yeah.
up on those types of grants and staying on his budget to be able to get those in there as well, too, which is fantastic, so great job on Rob's part, so.
Are we reconvening in
Yes.
executive session?
Yes, so this ends the public portion of today's meeting. The board is going to reconvene in executive session. We will not be returning to public session at the conclusion. So I'll make a motion that the Board of Selectmen enter into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30, Section 21, Purpose 2, to conduct strategy session preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel and/or conduct contract negotiations with non-union personnel, specifically the town administrator. And again, we will not be returning to public session.
Second?
Roll call vote, Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Mr. Sides, aye. Motion carries. We are adjourned from public session at 2:26.